Hi, Zoe. We're going to take a look at your postings, give you a little bit of feedback here on what we're observing. So we'll jump right in onto the log. And the first is the repetition, rhythm and repetition portion of the project here. And so it is a difficult, I did read down here under Sadie's comment here, or at least the group, that they were not labeled, and they're not labeled. So it does make it a little bit more difficult for us to identify which you are considering which ones they are. That's an important thing because we don't want, I do want you to know which are which, and the only way to do that is for you to tell us what you think these are. So you'll definitely want to go back and kind of identify these. You can just go in and add the tag to each image in terms of what you would consider that they are. What's going to be difficult is if you hadn't thought about those as you were making the photographs, which hopefully you did, because that's the whole idea, is that you're thinking about the type of rhythm, the type of repetition as you're making them so that you can take advantage of them. And so also you understand ways in which you can use them. That's the idea. Doing them is not, I mean, that wouldn't be the point of giving the assignment, just to do them. To learn what you can from them, that's the idea. And from there, what we do is gather these types of information, like what was your intent? That would be to try to use progressive rhythm or alternating rhythm in order to compose a photograph. So here, I mean, I think it's pretty obvious that you are using aggressive rhythm here. That's what this would be called, because you've got this repetition of the wood, the plate, and then the blue bowl, and then you've got the wood. We're presuming a plate's here, and then a blue bowl, wood, plate, blue bowl, so on and so forth. So that is using it. It's a little bit one note. However, I say a little bit because you are using other elements in your photograph. It's not exactly the most balanced design. You remember to go back to some of the golden ratio stuff, the phi grid. Those kinds of things will be very helpful for you to use as a framework when you're doing this kind of stuff, because even though we're looking at something like a progressive rhythm or something like that, we still want to be activating the entire space and using the entire space. Something like this is a much better direction because you're doing directional here, but then you're countering it with another angle. You've got this pole here that stops the direction. Believe it or not, our eyes are going through here. We're interrupted by it here. Then we're picking back up on it here. And then we're interrupted by it again here. Without this pole, it does become a little even more fluid that brings us all the way over. This wall does help as well. The difference is over here, we don't have that strong vertical to help us counter it back. We do have this wall, but it's much more subtle than it is here. Here, the wall is much higher, and it kind of falls in line with the way that the line of the rhythm is happening. All this stuff looks, you know, like I'm talking about real specifics, and that you got to sort of you know, pinpoint everything in the photograph as you're making it. And in a way, you are doing that, but the hope is that you do this enough that you are acting more intuitively and just not having to think actively about all of these things. You're just visually, you're seeing those things and making it happen. It's kind of like when you learn how to write, there's a certain point at which you're no longer having to consciously think about how to form the letter E, right? You're just making the letter E. You're not really having to think about well, how do I make a G here? But when you first start to learn the language and learn how to form the letters, you are definitely having to think about how to draw that shape and how to make the rest of it and so on, and how to make the next letter and so all of this stuff is going to be conscious in your mind, unless it's intuitive, something you've been doing all along. These are going to be things that you have to actively be conscious of while you're doing them until they sort of rest in your mind and they don't have to be anymore. And that is going to be different for a lot of different people. Some of these things we work on will take more time than others to become natural. It all will come back to whether it's something you've been doing for a while or not. So here we also have largely the same photograph here and then here. In fact, it looks like sort of a zoom of the same photograph, and then we have it again here. I'm not sure what was going on there, whether you were having trouble posting or something, but we have this like repetition over and over of these images. Maybe you were just having the issue there, but you have like this, and then you have this like half an image kind of thing going on, and then you have this, and then you have that, and then you have that again, and they're very, subtle differences between these things, and so these don't qualify really. I wouldn't qualify them as separate photographs. They're just way too close to one another, and this versus this, that's really the same photograph, and so is this. They're all just way too similar to be qualified as the same photograph. Just as if you were to give 3 drawings that looked like that, they would be the same drawing. I would have you going into different directions and challenging yourself in those. So there's that part of it. So hopefully you'll understand these things, and please ask me as many questions as you need when you're doing this. And if you had trouble with the blog posting and stuff like that, that's what I'm here to help you with. So please ask me any questions that you need. So let's jump into the Notan part, or the black and white. I'm sorry, not black and white. The positive, negative. Black and white is a way to describe it. Up, down, black, white, light, dark, all of that kind of stuff. Let's see, Sophia Ember, Celia, Brennan, Page. I'm not seeing yours. Maybe yours is somehow not up here. If it isn't up here, then we'll definitely want to have you post that one. If you might have contacted me at some point, but let's chat about that in next class, and make sure you're getting everything that you need to complete these projects, and we'll get you up to speed, no problem at all. All right. Okay. Well, we'll see you in the studio. All right. Bye now.